Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Defining Discipline podcast. I'm your host, Scott. Defining discipline is a lifestyle, a mentality, and a brand. And within this podcast, we're going to focus on self-improvement as you follow along with me on my journey. We will also hear from special guests of all walks of life on this podcast and their remarkable journeys that led them to where they are today. Today is day 117 of my journey. At the beginning of the year, I challenged myself to run 365 days out of the year consecutively, all outside, bearing the elements, whatever they may bring. I also challenged myself to run 1,250 miles within this time frame. Now, this is only my second year ever fully running. Within the first full year in 2020, I was able to run 1,001 miles, and I did that in 175 days out of that year. So this will be a 25% step up in the amount of miles and a 100% step up in the amount of days I'll be running this year. Like I said, today was day 117. Got out there again and pumped out just over another 10K. Yesterday was a 15K. The day before was just over a 10K. Right around 8 miles on Sunday. We had 9.3 yesterday and 7 today. It was a little bit of a struggle there towards the end. It was a really hot day today too. It was one of the first actual hot days out there, 81 degrees. And it really got to me. I was still able to get out 7. I was thinking about maybe I did a 3.5 mile loop to get the 7. I was thinking about going one more time and trying to get 11.5. But at that point just said, it's not worth it. I'm dying. I need to get home and just get some food in me and just fuel back up. So saved it, got 7 in for the day. That put me at 16.3 miles for the week. I try to do a bare minimum of 25 miles per week in order to hit 100 miles per month, which we'll get to in a second. But I usually try to go for 33 miles a week is my average goal, what I like to do. Last week I was not able to hit the 33 miles. No big deal. A little bit under it. I think I hit exactly 30 maybe, or 29.8 or something. But this week we're sitting at 16.3. Pretty good. Now, again, for the month, every month I've challenged myself to do a 100-mile challenge, and I do that in order to hit my goal of 1250 for the year. I have to average just over 100 miles, but I decided that every month might as well do a 100-mile challenge and do it in honor of different charities and try to raise money and awareness for these charities throughout the year. So January and February and March, we were able to raise money for 3 great charities. The American Cancer Society, the Detroit Black Community Food Security Network, and Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. All 3 we were able to raise money for, as well as each month we were able to surpass the 100-mile challenge. The first month in January, I think I had 104 to 105 miles. February, I got 133.3 miles, which was the most I've ever put in on 1 month, which is actually really cool because we'll get to that in a second. But it was the most I've ever put in a month, and it was only in 28 days in the month of February, so it was really cool. The month of March, we're able to get 125 miles in, so got all the mileage done. We were able to raise money. Now we're sitting here in April. I actually just surpassed, after today's run, the most miles I've ever ran in a month. And yes, today was the 27th, so I even did this in 28 days. And tomorrow we'll get even more miles in, and we'll see where we end for 28 days, the most I've gotten done mile-wise. But currently we're sitting at 134.5. I'll probably be able to really crush it this month with there being 3 days left, 28th, 29th, and 30th. But let's talk about the charity. So the charity for the month of April is Autism Awareness Month, so I wanted to do something that reflected on that. So I chose to go with Autism Speaks. That is the fundraiser we are raising money for this month here in April. So if you guys would like to donate, you can find the link to donate to that on the Defining Discipline Instagram and Facebook stories, as well as my personal pages, Instagram and Facebook stories. You'll see a banner that goes across the middle that says April's 100-mile challenge for Autism Speaks. And then up at the very top of that, you will see it where it says donate on Facebook. Click on that. It'll open up a Facebook link where you can donate however much you can donate. Every little bit goes a long way. So if you can only donate $5, don't think that it's not going to help. It helps out a lot. These people will appreciate it, and I will appreciate it that you guys are helping out. So you can do that on the Facebook. All donations that get made go directly to this charity. 0 go to Facebook, 0 go to me. So you guys will be helping out Autism Speaks here for the month of April. And this charity will actually be running until I think May 7th or May 8th. And then we will be closing it out. And May 1st, we will also be beginning a new charity, which you guys will hear about on May 1st. So we did surpass the monthly miles. Again, this is the most miles I've ever put in a month, so I'm really stoked about that. Really cool, guys. Got a PR going. Other than that, we are sitting at 499.4 miles for the year, guys. It feels unbelievable. It's really great, and I'm super stoked. So seeing the mileages that what we're sitting at right now, I kind of wanted to talk about something that I reflected on a while back. So that being said, today's episode 117, we are going to talk about tracking, and specifically trackers, because I have discussed this before. If you guys see me running out there, you will notice that I rep 2 watches. Okay, I got the FitBit and then I got the Apple Watch SE. I like them both. I originally got this Fitbit after having the Apple Watch first generation for a long time. I got this Fitbit in Christmas of 2019. And that's where I really started to use this with the Strava in 2019. And I've been using this with Strava here in 2020. And I used this with the Nike Run Club. And I wanted to talk about it because they both run off 2 different kind of GPS systems. I haven't had really much time to go. I tried to look it up a little bit today, but I couldn't find enough information on it. But they both use 2 different kind of GPS tracking systems, and they're both really good and somewhat, pretty accurate, but they are both a little bit off. I've actually found the Fitbit to be a little bit more accurate with the mileage, and I go off of what Strava has actually on their maps. When you go to look on their maps and you can make your own route, you can route out stuff, and they have segments that let you know how long certain areas are, so you can kind of figure out what the actual mileage would be. And my Fitbit usually lines up closer or dead nuts to that mileage that Strava has set up before I even run it, when I look and I try to map out my runs beforehand. Now with the Apple Watch, what I think is going on here, and it is what it is. I think we all know that my idea of what is going on, I think, is this is kind of going off of Google Maps, I think, and this is going off of Apple Maps. And it's not that Apple Maps is, complete garbage, but it's just not, it doesn't stick up, I think, as well and as good as Google Maps. I think Google is just too far ahead for Apple Maps. I think they will eventually get there, but once they get there to where we're at with Google Maps, I think Google Maps will be already ahead of them, the game farther. I think maybe they'll catch up eventually, but right now I think Apple Maps is just a little bit just not as accurate, and we're going to talk about that. So, like I said, now through my Strava account, with this Fitbit, which is the Versa 2 Fitbit from 2019, worked great, matched up with a lot of the runs on Strava, matched up with just mileage around here. I do know, some roads around here are just a mile apart. It matches up pretty good and accurate with that. And actually, which is kind of weird, and what I don't really get about it is this will match up too on pretty short runs. It's pretty close. It's only off by maybe, when I do the 3.6 mile run, it'll sometimes end at 3.55, and this will end at 3.61. So it's pretty close when you're on not too long of a run. But what's really crazy though is today I did the 3.6 mile run, but I just looped it, right? So I did it a couple times. I left a little bit out for the loop because I have to run to the loop first. So that's why I didn't get, I got exactly 7 miles instead of, 7.2 miles if you had had the 6. The 3.6, that is. So went out there, I did the loop, and they still were kind of just off, I think a little bit more. Let's see what we got here, actually. So today we had 6.9. No, it's pretty about the same. About 0.5 off every 3.6 miles. So every 3.6 miles, we're about 0.5, or yeah, about 0.05 off. So every 7 miles, we are off 1/10 of a mile. Now we're going to, which you wouldn't think would be too much, but now we are going to be going into the 5th month already, and I just told you that I just broke, or I'm inches away from breaking 500. That's why I wanted to kind of wait till I was right at 500 so we can compare what this Strava app has me at compared to what the Nike app has me at. So for my Strava app, we are sitting at 499.4 miles. Great. Awesome. We are sitting at 490.3 miles. So this is 9.1 miles off after that many months. After almost 5 months, 500 miles, we're almost 10 miles off, about 9 miles off. 9.1. So it doesn't make a huge dent, but you can see the little bit of difference there, the little bit of variation. I do think maybe the Apple Watch is a little bit more accurate on the heart rate data. That is also debatable, though. So we could try to pull some heart rate data up here. So today's run, I don't feel like my heart rate went too crazy. I didn't go too hard, but let's see what this says my average heart rate was for. So my average heart rate 164 through Strava. That would be through the FitBit GPS, which seems like it could be somewhat accurate. My max is right around 185, 190. So I was probably in a good zone there. Now let's go back to this one here. And okay, so not too far off. This one says I was 162. So heart rate matches up pretty accurate for, runs somewhat. Let's see, 904 calories burned through my Apple Watch. 1,000 calories burned, it says, through my Fitbit. So they're slightly different, but pretty accurate. Now we're going to go to the reason why I originally got this Fitbit, guys. I think I've talked about it before, but was I had the Apple Watch first generation. It wasn't as great or whatever, has as many gears and gadgets as this one, but it did still do the job when I had it. But I did just give it up because the main thing I really wanted to start paying attention to was my sleep data at the time. So I wanted to something that would pay attention to my sleep data. This does it. The best thing I love about this Fitbit, which is Apple's still lacking. It's getting there. Apple's a little bit more advanced with the screen, the touch screen, the accessibility. It's just a little bit more smoother and better. But if you're lucky, 48 hour battery life. If you're lucky, if you don't use it to go do workouts, and you have it where the screen can turn off, and just it's okay. and it does do your sleep data, but at that point you have to have a certain schedule of like how you do your watch, so like when I was really paying attention to my sleep data, when I was trying to do it again on this Apple Watch, since the new Apple Watch does do sleep data, it's just kind of a pain in the butt to like go out there, get up, work out, and then see your batteries kind of like in the mid-range. So then like midway through the day you want to make sure it's charged before you go to sleep. So like midway through the day you got to take it off and make sure you put it back on before night, so you can, it's just not as sweet as the Fitbit. The Fitbit has like a 10-day battery life, sometimes a little bit less, 7, 5, but it still makes a huge difference compared to just the like 2-day max if you're lucky. Like I don't even think I get 2 days out of it. Like I said, I usually have to charge it every single day because I'll go out there for even like a 15-minute run. I think it just doesn't kill the battery, but it just takes a good chunk out of it where you're going to have it charged, especially if you want to try to get the sleep data and then go throughout your day after waking up, So it's a little bit more of a pain in the butt, but it is what it is. Other than that, though, guys, really stoked. I've been using both Strava and Nike Run Club, getting the challenges done, hitting these miles. Overall, it's just been a great journey. And I definitely advise anyone that is planning to get into any kind of fitness, or even just trying to be more health conscious, I cannot advise you enough to just get an activity tracker. Even if like you don't want to go all out and get an expensive Apple Watch, if you don't want to go out, get like, maybe you guys have an Android, maybe you don't want to get the Android version of the Apple Watch because you just can't afford it. You can get the cheaper version-ish kind of with the Fitbits. Maybe that's still a little bit more expensive. They make really cheap like Chinese versions that you can get probably at like the not dollar store, but actually I think I have seen some at the dollar store, at the Family Dollar, that are, they sell for like 20 or 30 bucks. But I mean, they make cheaper versions that will at least get you started so you can get a feel for it, so you can get the idea of what it does. And it's something like anything that if you don't use it, if you don't open up the app and try to pay attention to it, you're going to think it's useless. But the more that you actually try to use it and try to, be vigilant with it and try to just stay on it, I think you would really appreciate the data that it gives back. It's really awesome data, especially here, just even with my running. Like I said, it tells I got elevation gain, I got distance, I got heart rate, I got average pace, and on top of it, like I said, it gives you your sleep data. It lets you know how much sleep you're getting. It's letting me know how well I'm recovering at night. It's letting me know how much strain I am doing throughout the day. It's a nice thing to really have, to try to pay attention and focus on living a healthier lifestyle, and no matter what that may be. Another cool thing I really love about these, it tends to sometimes get annoying, especially when I'm doing now what I'm doing with running every single day and then busting out like, a half marathon or more, or even just a 15K, and getting over 10,000 steps or whatever just in that run alone, and then like just trying to chill out for like an hour or something. These things actually do have a thing where it's like they try to have you stand and walk so many steps within an hour. So they'll like tell you like, hey, you need to get up and move, and it's like, hey, I just got done working out for 3 hours straight running. I kind of want to sit down for an hour and miss it. It gets annoying, but at the same time, it's nice. It's really nice, especially if you're not doing, like I said, you're not busting out these super huge long runs where it's like you're just completely worn out. It's a really good thing to make sure you stand up. It's a really good thing to be counting your steps, to make sure you get enough exercise in. I don't think enough people really take into consideration how important cardio and just heart health is, especially if we're going to be having certain diets that we have and that we tend to have and fall into, and just these habits that are so bad sometimes, especially bad for us. It's kind of nice to have something there to kind of remind us to try to at least put us on a better path to stay consistent with our healthy habits. So I really advise getting any kind of Fitbit tracker that you guys can get. So for your daily discipline, actually, it is to start tracking things. Maybe you can't afford to get this tracker. You won't be able to do your heart rate. Okay, I got an idea for you. Okay, you can do BPM by counting it off. Do you have a watch, a regular watch with a timer? Okay, beats per minute. You just wait for the second hand to hit the top. You feel your wrist and you start counting beats until that watch goes all the way around for 1 minute, and however many beats you've counted within that minute, that is your heart rate. I know it's a kind of really ghetto way to do it, but it is a really quick, accurate way to do it. You won't obviously be able to do it while running or exercising right away, but as soon as you get done with your exercise, like right away, I'm running. As soon as I stop, boom, check the minute, start counting it, figure out your BPM, where you were at the peak of, right around the peak, right when you ended. Just a good way to try to figure it out. Let's try to start tracking things like your heart rate when you start exerting yourself in certain situations. Try to start tracking maybe how many bottles of water you've been drinking, which you can still do on both of these Apple Watch, and this has a way for you to start trying to track your intake of food and water. You can start just tracking the things that you do every day, especially the healthier habits, and then see how much you do it, and set yourself a little goal to track it and then to up it every week, just a little bit, whatever it may be. Maybe it's get out there for a walk, track how many miles you walked. Like I said, maybe you don't have a GPS tracker, but you have a phone, right? Type in directions to a local business that you know of, okay? And then walk there. And then walk home. And then look up how many miles it says you walked on your phone. Well, if I went down this street and this street, you map it out on Google Maps, it'll tell you how long it is. So there's ways around of doing it if you don't want to get a tracker, but the tracker just makes it so much easier, guys. But again, for your daily discipline, it is to try to start tracking your everything, not just necessarily health things, because maybe you aren't doing health things. Maybe you're doing other things. Maybe you're really focusing on work stuff or whatever the case may be, but really track how much time you're putting into things. Whatever the case may be, really start tracking stuff, and I think you'll be very, very surprised at how well it does for you by making you push yourself to do better, but also by just really holding yourself accountable and realizing how far you came and what you can do and what's possible. That's the one thing I really love about this tracker. It's so nice to be out there on the run. There's been so many times when I'm out there in the middle of a run and I feel like I am sometimes, like even today, it was so hot and humid. At one point I felt like I was really just like I feel like I was maybe having a heart attack. I was going to pass out. And then I just looked down and boom, both my wrists. I'm like, I'm not even breaking like 160 right now. I'm not having a heart attack. Might have a heat stroke. Let me get some water in me. Let me get a little bit of spray on my face. Cooled down a little bit. Felt fine. It's just nice to have that, to know that kind of thing. Last, before I leave you guys, though, I do want to rewind, talk one more thing about these trackers. If you are going to make a decision and you don't know if you want to go just a little bit cheaper and get something like a Fitbit, or if you want to spend a little bit more money, like I said, the con about this is going to be the battery. Especially if you're trying to do it for sleep tracking, you're going to have to charge this every day, if not every other day, especially. And this is more of like a 10-day battery, so this has a little bit more, and the GPS seems to be a little bit more accurate on this, running off of, I think, of a Google GPS opposed to an Apple GPS. But something that's really nice about this, especially if you're an older person, or maybe someone who's just more worried about certain situations, This has fall detection. This has heart rate detection, where if it will analyze your heart rate if it seems abnormal to what it's analyzed and has tracked over time. It'll notify you that, hey, it thinks you may be getting ready for a stroke or a heart attack. It has a lot more health and cool functions that would help you if you're older or you're really trying to pay attention to more heart rate, things like that kind of basis. This doesn't have fall detection or any of that kind of stuff, but like I said, battery life, if you're just doing it for more of an activity thing, I think the Fitbit will kind of do you well. But again, there are more things out there depending what you want. If you want to run, I know people that do run with the Garmin watches and they highly recommend them. I know people who run with there's another one, I can't think of what the brand is, but there's so many running watches out there that are pretty accurate and very accurate with all of the stuff. Like I said, the Apple Watch is just a little bit off with the GPS, has a little bit of downfall with the battery, but I still love it. It's an Apple product. It runs with all my stuff. Easy to hook up with the Nike Run Club. It's golden. So you got your daily discipline for the day. It is to start tracking things. Even consider maybe getting yourself a tracker. Let me know what kind of tracker you guys have. If you have one, let me know which one you guys are interested. If you're interested in one, if you guys have any questions, please send them. If you have any more questions about the ones I currently have or what you may be trying to use it for, I'm open to answer any questions that I personally know about the trackers. Other than that, stay disciplined, guys. I want to thank you so much for listening along. It's 117 episodes, 117 days, cranking out these miles, cranking out these days, cranking out these episodes. Thanks so much. If you guys can, please give the podcast a like, a subscribe, a follow, and a share on our Facebook or Instagram, our YouTube, and whatever podcast streaming platform you guys listen to this podcast on. Other than that, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 118. Just stay disciplined. Get out there and grind. I'm your host, Scott. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.